Welcome to Social Media Fridays, episode 12. Each week we meet to wind down and ponder on the new things that popped up during the previous week. With us today we have Masataki Wasa. Masataki is webmaster in the UK for wasaweb.net. He's also a Google Plus contributor on the AdSense forum and also on the Google Plus Help community. Meher Bhagat, I'm an idiot, Meher. I forgot to grab your profile before I started. But Meher runs I think it's a human resources business in India, and she's very interested in social media. Would that be a fair description? I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Tony McCreath is Adelaide's leading SEO who runs a website there called websiteadvantage.com. .com.au. What an idiot I am. Okay. All right, each week we discuss the topics that are listed on the Social Media Fridays community on Google+. We add new items of interest and comment on them through the week and then amalgamate them all for this chat. First one on our list today is the science and psychology of Twitter. Does anyone have a comment on the science and psychology of Twitter?
I tried to sum it up on a few things that are kind of takeaways from it. Obviously, because it's got the word psychology and it's kind of someone just fluffing around with ideas rather than solid data so much. But the key things I brought out was we follow people who follow similar people. So we're kind of a sheep mentality of grouping like that. People don't like too many hashtags on a tweet. They like information. One that you didn't like was asking people to share does work, and I kind of agree. It's not nice, but it just seems to work. And another takeaway is a headline style of tweet tends to work. So you've got that kind of sensational call to action type stuff works on a tweet just like anything else that's headline based. But it goes into a lot more detail and a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it is surprising that some things like that work, those gormless Facebook type things saying, you know, reshare this. You know, I mean, I noticed that I think it was Amanda Blaine jumped the shark this week and put up a post. Reshare if you go on Google Plus every day. Well, I mean, bug them there. I mean, do we really need that stuff? Anyway, go ahead, Meher.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, reshare is fine. I mean, the kind of post that you posted about the link that you mentioned, Nathala Kaur, I mean, that kind of this thing is not required. I mean, it's good to have reshares. It's good, you know, it's a good way to promote a specific post that is interesting, that is into your industry or your, you know, line of interest. But I think posts like these are completely useless. It doesn't make sense. It's just one way of capturing likes or reshares or, you know, comments. And I mean, like, if you look at the percentage of comments, it's not relevant to that particular post. It's more of, you know, if you check out the comments, if they have 1,000 comments, over 70% of comments in that very post would be all about promotions of different products and services. nothing related to that problem. Sure, it's a completely useless. I think feature to misuse this. Share, reshare.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly got high stats for reshares, but I mean, to me, I mean, Amanda Blaine's got about 2.5 million followers, because she was lucky enough to jag a listing on the Google suggested user list at the outset of Google Plus. But to me, it only proves that, I mean, the high number of reshares, it just proves that amongst a population of 2.4 million people, there are enough doofuses that will actually, follow the nose ring. But as you say, all of the self-promotion comments, it's just. Anyway, it's not my style. I suppose it's okay for some, but I just wonder, what they're building. It goes back to the question of circles, doesn't it? Aimlessly or just getting numbers of followers for followers' sake. If they're not people that click with you, they're not worth a crumpet. I don't think so, anyway.
Same here. I mean, like, I feel, the feeling is mutual. I think it's a waste of time. I mean, like, when it comes, I mean, like, if you're posting marketing comments into it, it certainly bring down your brand. If you're doing the branding, like any companies into branding, and they've hired somebody else to do it, and that person goes into onto a comment section and start posting their brand labels into it, this and that, kind of any kind of advertisement on such platforms in comment segments like these. I think it brings down the quality of brand, so it's not advisable. And certainly I think Facebook should actually ban these kind of posts. And Facebook has a policy for reshare.
All right. Have we covered this topic, do you think, guys?
Well, I think some of the following topics elaborate on the same thing. I mean, if we start moving on to...
Let's move on to number 2 on our list, and that is, I titled it Robots Loving Robots. Tony McCreath posted this, and he asked the question, do accounts that tweet like this work in any way? In this case, 16,000 tweets resulted in 94 egg followers. What Tony means by that, of course, is that they get the Twitter egg because they have a Twitter. Oh, sorry, I clicked the wrong button. I meant to mute my mic.
Yeah, I stumbled across this, and I just thought, like, there's so many people doing this sort of thing. I think it's probably automated, or Fiverr or something, and they must be getting nothing out of it. It's just no effort, no results, and it's just clogging up Twitter and all the social channels. Like, you look at this example, it's just gibberish.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Well, no comments on this, I think. I haven't been through this.
It's genuinely baffling, isn't it, what it means? I mean...
I missed that, Mr. Taki. What was that?
Oh, I'm genuinely baffled as to what it could mean. How did people understand this tweet? It just doesn't make any sense. Unless it's some sort of code.
It could be. It's fine.
It definitely went off my head.
And every single tweet's like that. Some of them link to, I presume, affiliate links or something. Some attempt has to be there to make money. But it's just gibberish, and there's no reason anybody would pay attention to it.
You never know. 2,000 years later, it might become part of some sort of, classical literature at this rate.
Well, if that was an infinite number of monkeys.
Maybe they were waiting on somebody to actually comment and get to know what exactly this thing is all about.
Seriously, looking at some of this stuff, if anyone was examining us from space, they'd decide not to come, I reckon. I think they'd stay away.
They'd be trying to work.
Let's move on from this one and look at the third article that we put on the Social Media Fridays community on Google+. This one was for an article from Stone Temple Consulting. You can see it yourself on the Social Media Fridays community on how does Google index tweets. You're a technical genius, Tony. I think you're probably the person that... well, that's not to say that Masataki's not a genius. All I know is that I'm the only idiot here.
This is data-driven, as usual. You've got to take it with a pinch of salt, how much information and how many factors might be misinterpreted. They came out with their takeaways is that Google doesn't index many tweets. And of the tweets they do, it seems to be related to how many people are following you, and maybe how many links you get to your tweets.
About 10 seconds ago, that electrical hum that we're getting through, Tony, about 10 seconds ago, it just magically stopped and your voice became clear. Anything changed there?
I can still hear it.
Okay. No, it's still there even when you... Oh, look, it might not even be you. It might be me or... now I've lost my place. Have we spoken enough on Stone Temple's article?
So basically, not much of Twitter is indexed on Google. If you want to have a chance to get into Google's index with your tweets, you need to be popular.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd actually say that I do believe getting external links in, which it'll go on another thing later, which is about indexing. That if you can, social networks have their own link graphs, which I think if they're public link graphs, then that does go into account, and that might be why, say, a popular person on Twitter tends to rank better because they've got this internal page rank going on, even though they no follow out of their network. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to think on the later thing is SEO and social. So I guess move on and we'll get there.
Okay. Our next is titled Social Links Are Good for the Social Buzz. That's my title. I probably picked the wrong aspect, but Tony McCreath said, let me read out what Tony said, that as an SEO, I've had the notion that social links have no SEO value, i.e. page rank, ingrained into my head. Social links are good for the social buzz and may generate some real links if you're lucky. That is forgetting that social pages do show up in search results, and so are a ranking, have a ranking ability in their own right. And the public part of a social network can contribute to helping a social page rank. Should we think more about the SEO of social? Okay, I'd love to know the answer to that.
I think so. So this was triggered from an article by Tad Chef, who I think we talked. We did an article his last week, I think, and he was talking about. Well, he calls it the summer of link love, and how it's a lot easier for people, average Joes, to create links, but they are mostly within the social media world, the social like Facebook and Twitter. And that it got me thinking, well, as an SEO, you kind of ignore that because it's all no follow. It's all they're telling Google not to pass any value, but internally they are allowing value to pass. So it made me think: are these social networks actually having an internal kind of search ranking ability? Because they do appear on search results. So do we want to think about how our social media profiles are structured to get them to rank better? I'm not sure if there's anything you can do about it, but apart from actually being more social and building up your actual social profiles, get your Facebook to rank on Google, and it's another avenue that way. That's kind of the area I'm going on.
Yes, I'm sure Google is stepping through the process of wanting to use social, but at each stage in the development, they have to counter spam, and so one little aside on the subject of SEO. I stumbled across something. You all remember, I guess, that Masataki Wasa conducted that test to prove that the views count on a Google Plus profile is absolutely worthless, and it's virtually meaningless. And it replaced the social social. Remember the social number, which is a combination of plus ones and clicks and shares of a URL. That still seems to have value. I discussed this with somebody who would know, and he said that I wasn't certifiably there. He wasn't sure, but he just felt that. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Masataki saved my life.
Well, on these things, if you still have a +1 button or share button on your site, on your homepage, that will still show the old figure, as far as I'm aware, next to the button, next to the button in a bubble. So that's that. Sort of on a larger topic, I think it is interesting that it becomes far easier to create links for people on these social media platforms. The question is how much of it is sort of self-contained, self-referential, in that they remain within that platform, so remain within that environment, the landscape. The question is really, if you have an external website and that's that's your main puzzle, how do you make sure that you integrate that into these different landscapes that exist on social media platforms? And I think that can be a bit of a challenge, because really you have to decide how much of your time and resources you're going to devote to different platforms, which which are going to offer you varying degrees of success or traffic. It's tough. I think it's. I think there's a lot that you can do on various social media platforms, but I think it's very tough to gain traction, and you might not know which platform is best suited for your needs. I think we can all start from assumptions, saying, because site X does Y, and the likely audience is Z, we should go to this particular platform. And you never know whether that is actually the right place for you to go to. And so I think it can be quite tricky in that respect, especially as there are competing platforms, some of them overlapping, some of them quite distant from one another. Yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah, it's always a hard call on how much resources you put in, and I think you've also got to put quite a bit of effort in to actually find out if it is going to work. Putting no effort in and saying it failed is not going to give you the true result. It might be something that could work if you put some time in. Like with SEO, you can't do it for 1 week and then complain you're not number one. You've got to commit for a while, and then after that time make a educated decision on, is it worth carrying on, or use my resources for something that will be more valuable to me.
Interesting. All right. Shall we move on from this one?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay. So, by the way, Masataki and I let you down a bit this week, Tony McCreath. We let you do all the posts, I think. But I thank you for that. All right. Next one, number 5 on our run list today is it's titled "Should Facebook and other social platforms do more to release stuff like this?" And Tony was referring to one of those graphics from Facebook, which trick people into feeling sorry for the subject. And then also, make it worse, they lie to the people that if you share this item, you will cause, in this case, $1 to be donated for a sick child. Which, I mean, it doesn't actually rank it the crime of the century, but it's got to be pretty well down there with some of the lowest things you can do. Yeah?
It seems like this was started by a popular person. So whether they were hoodwinked as well, I'm not sure. But yeah.
I like that one. Well, actually, I've seen a couple of them. There's one of Jesus sitting down and said, "Oh, damn it, I've got to kill this one, not my Facebook likes." And the other one was a doctor saying, "Well, I can't queue this cancer. We're 500 likes too short. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to number 6 on our list.
Just to explain what you just said, on this Facebook post, if you get to the original, you'll see there are 35,000 people liked it in the end, and over 1 million people shared it. But the people who commented on it were obviously knowing it's a con, and they started posting these satirical versions, or like the one you say, I'm going to have to kill this one. So a very interesting reaction from people who knew what was going on. But obviously most people don't read the comments, so they just carry on liking it, thinking they've donated $1. Yeah.
Okay, I'm muted. What an idiot. Good one, Tony. Let's go on now to the blunder of the century in the history of social media. American Apparel had to apologise for the use of the Challenger explosion photo. Tony titled this innocent mistakes can still hurt a brand. Comments, anybody? By the way, if you're following along at home, you can see this particular post on the Social Media Fridays community on Google+.
Yeah, I mean, there are two issues, aren't there? The first one is how did, right, first issue is, how was this posted in the first place? You know,
it was a tweet.
Yeah, but no, I think it was a Tumblr, wasn't it?
Tumblr.
So the question is, the question relates to, who's responsible for that? Is there any sort of editorial oversight? Who's responsible for it? Is it just someone somewhere posting a picture and that's it? What kind of training has that person been given? Are they, is that person aware of the, if you like, the whole strategy of social media, general awareness of how things work? You just think, were there any chances to stop this from occurring in the first place? These kind of things, you'd think, especially if a Tumblr account is representing a big company, then you'd hope, I suppose, you'd hope that there will be some sort of editorial oversight, some sort of control, some sort of quality mechanism to ensure that these kind of howlers do not happen. And that's the first issue. The second issue, I think, is that they make things worse by trying to apologize or explain how this happened. And I think that just made things even worse. The apology reads, quoted from screenshot from the article, quote, "We deeply apologize for today's Tumblr post on the Space Shuttle Challenger. The image was reblogged in error by one of our international social media employees who was born after a tragedy and was unaware of the event. We sincerely regret the insensitivity of that selection, and the post has been deleted." I think they should have just apologized. In trying to say, okay, it was reblogged in error, which I'm not, it's not as if, they mistakenly clicked on a button. Whoever reblogged this, it was someone who said, okay, decided, yeah, I'm going to reblog this. And the fact that, okay, so international social media employee. That's not an excuse in itself. Unless they're saying, okay, well, we're outsourcing this to some place, and so we can't possibly be held responsible for that. No. I mean, I don't see how that can be an excuse. And again, people who because it was someone born after the event, that doesn't excuse ignorance or the making sure that the picture represents what it represents. At least making a rudimentary checks on where the picture came from, what it represents, any rights issues, these kind of things. And that, I think, was singularly lacking. And I think it just seemed to, it doesn't inspire confidence in terms of explanation. So on these two accounts, so one is actually how this, the process by which this was allowed to happen. That's the first issue which I think they have to deal with. And the second issue is making, after the event, and I think they just make things worse by issuing a very weak explanation.
It's probably better than just deleting it and staying silent there. I think it's very hard to get something like that right, I guess.
Yeah. I think my personal view is they should have just apologized and say, so skip the second sentence in their apology, the explanation. They, deeply apologize. It was a mistake. As such, it was deleted. I mean, instead of trying to explain it away, I think that again leaves a bit of a bad taste in your mouth because they're not, in a sense, valid excuses. At least in my view, they're not.
I guess we're biased because we kind of know the mechanics behind it all. I wonder what the average person who actually saw this would have thought on that. And are they talking to their existing customers who follow them? That sort of thing. No.
I think people generally think that because it is in the name of the brand, it does represent the brand. They don't really. Most people don't care that who's actually behind the account or who's what team is behind that account. Most people, if it's brand, then it is that brand.
I bet you they have a process in place now.
I think that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you don't want to slow things down unnecessarily, if that makes sense. By having too many layers of checks and so on and so forth before something's published. Because one good thing about social media is the speed with which you can react to events to other people. So you don't want to lose that, but yet on the other hand, you want to make sure that the things that are published in the brand's name, those things are of good quality, or at least they're not going to cause these kinds of controversies. So it's a balancing act that brands need to think about, and especially bigger ones, because if you make a howler, people will notice, and that's going to spread.
There's a Super Bowl Power Cup, which is a good example of the being fast to respond. I can't remember which brand it was, but they got a lot of press coverage because of a very fast tweet happening during a Super Bowl that just went viral. I guess it's also different for your smaller companies. You can't afford to have people double checking things, but at the same time, your mistake's probably not going to go viral. You could probably hide it a lot quicker.
I think companies, like a lot of companies actually have set down parameters how to use social media and what to do, what not to do. I mean, they have a fixed, popular brands at least they have a kind of fixed scenario what to post on social media platforms and what not to. Uh, with small brands, because they're not very well aware how, damaging the image could be with one wrong post, they overlook the scenario and putting down the policy for social media into their employment segment. I mean, like it's just not. I have seen a couple of other posts uh, that involves employees posting about a particular brand, their own brands, and it's kind of damaging. I think employees should be actually completely banned from posting anything into their blogs, their own social media apart from their own company pages. That keeps them at check. Uh, with smaller brands, I think this should be. And in any scenario, when you're a corporate company, you are actually a brand figure, be it a small or large. It's important for companies to have social media policies in place, because we all know the social media. When it gets on air, it's actually spreading. You cannot stop. You don't have a pause button on social media. So I think companies should have a very strict policy, and in case they are hiring somebody else or they have their own set down employees who are working on social media platforms for them, they should have set down parameters. What should actually go on air, what should not go on air, what kind of comments should be immediately deleted. I think they should have an immediate check. What they do have is they don't have companies. What they do is they hire companies or they keep employees onto a specific page. If they have social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, or any other platforms, uh, they don't keep somebody to actually check along with uh, what is coming into comments. Where is it spreading? They're not hunting Google. They're not using alerts. In case their brand pops up into any website or any new blog. I think they should have alert system. Any time their name is popped up to any blog, Twitter, they should be immediately informed. I think that kind of steps should be taken and considered.
Yeah, that's a really good point on, it's not just the social media department. Every employee can be out there talking about your company, and so you want to make sure they don't do anything stupid under your name.
Indeed.
Yeah, but as people say, you can't you're stupid. And if your company is quite large, then there is inevitably going to be um, someone who is going to say something that's not going to be that good. So yeah, I think that preemptive steps are always necessary. So that might be employee education, um, guidelines, things like that. But I think where the real value of good social media um, team comes in is in reacting to crises, and I think that's where can you turn something bad into positive? That might be too tough, but neutralize that negative press, negative sort of stir into something less threatening and hostile. I think that's where the most important and perhaps the most powerful function of social media team or the PR team comes in.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's probably the hardest thing to do as well. It's got to be a really good skill to get everything right on those responses.
Sorry, I was muted. But remember once David Emeland on an early hangout told us the story of I think it was Johnson and Johnson, and that they the social media blunder. They went straight in with an upper management person shouldering the blame, and they actually ended up boosting their sales in China by 30% because of a mistake that they'd made, but that they recovered well from. They showed that they cared, and they showed that they were equipped to prevent that happening again. It was just exceptionally well done. All right, will we move on?
Yes, we should.
Okay, this one must set a record for having the most acknowledgements of any social post I've ever seen in my life. Did you notice how many that there were there?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I had to read it out.
I'm not going to read it out, but I noticed that Mark Trepagan managed to get himself mentioned twice. They make me laugh. Anyway, not Mark. I mean the other people. All right. So this is an article posted on Google Plus titled "Social Presence." Social presence. What's real and what's not, and why are you here? Let me say to Gina Friedel that if you're asking that question, you're not real. But anyway, all that aside, what are your comments, guys? Did I say something wrong?
I just thought it was an interesting write-up that some people might like to read. It was well written. Musings about social media.
Yeah. Really, I think if you need to spell out, your feelings and so on, haven't you failed? If you actually got to write down how you view things, and I mean, surely the essence of being on social media is that people just naturally know how you feel. They'll just naturally know what you think about things because you've communicated. Isn't it an admission of failure to have to spell out how you feel and why you came to the platform and so on? Shouldn't that have been passed on in previous communications? Like when you were being social.
Unless you're promoting a book.
Unless you're promoting a book, that's right. I mean, the thing that bugs me sometimes is the shallowness. The shallowness. And, mentioning all those names for fear of leaving somebody out. What's the point? I just don't get that. Just don't get it at all. But, I guess I'll never be popular. But to be honest, I'd rather be me than popular because I connect with the people that I communicate with, and I genuinely enjoy. Oh, here I'm failing myself. I'm talking about mea culpa. I apologise. What do you think about this? Well, no, I won't put anybody on the spot. Does anyone want to comment?
I actually didn't read it. I read the first sentence and decided not to proceed any further.
I've just gone through bits and pieces and a few liners on it, and I'm still going through.
I'd agree. It's written like with all the acknowledgements and push for the book and things. It's not written in the normal sense of what your typical Google Plus post is about, as you say. You just share little bits of information. You don't post like that. It's a bit too much promotionally.
It's promotional.
It's probably half the book.
Yeah, I think.
I guess we're indebted to Gina in that with all of those acknowledgements, she's basically encapsulated the Mutual Admiration Society. Mate, totally the grief laugh. Like I always, all right, and let's move on from just a little bit of nothing and look at oh, this is interesting. I like techie things. This is a new global Facebook ad which places missed calls on behalf of users. Tony, you actually posted this, so I'll let you lead off with it and tell us all about it, and then I'd like to know what the rest of us think of it.
This is, if I interpret it right, the idea is that so this is on Facebook, is it? Yeah, on Facebook. On your mobile, you will see a missed call button. And the idea of this is you can, instead of calling a business, you press the missed call button, and the business will call you back. So you're saving on call costs, and the business obviously pays the call costs, and they'll have some preferential rate. And the value of this is that in countries where making calls is expensive, the business is not going to lose out on business because people aren't prepared to call you. And I think the mechanism works by an old school mechanism of basically you call them and hang up, and they're aware to call you back. So it's not using some fancy behind the scenes thing, it's just doing a quick hang up call. So it seems quite clever, and they say that there are certain countries in the world where calls are expensive and this will be a popular service.
Yeah. I love things like that. I mean, that's very clever. Very clever. I mean, it's good marketing. Okay. All right. So we've run out of topics for the day, guys. What next would you like to discuss? Okay. Well, look.
I think I have a point here. I think I kind of like this feature, missed calls on Facebook. I think it's going to work. I mean, it might have the pros and cons in the initial stage, but it's going to boom in the market. And Facebook is by default known for innovation when it comes to social media. So I think it's a good feature. Initially, they might for a month or two. I mean, for new users, for getting this thing into market, they're going to have false leads as well because nobody is much aware. I mean, they want to try out new feature with exactly this is what is missed call. They might just hit a button and check out, and so it's an kind of initiation. They would have to just. It's a trial demo right now. It's going to have its pros and cons till next 6 to 7 months. for active users, not fresh or returning users. But it's a great feature.
I just had a thought on that. Is the cheapest way to phone a business is via an advert because of this. So it could encourage people to go to Facebook adverts to call the business, and therefore Facebook makes more money. So, and it also means people might even go from one network to the Facebook network to get that free call. So it could be a really good revenue builder for Facebook.
Yeah, but then in that case, there has to be a different segment. I mean, I think there is a page which lets you see all the Facebook ads that you've been through, or that is related to your search. I think there is a page, because I remember seeing it 3 years ago, and I'm not sure whether it's still there, but I am sure Facebook is into heavy marketing, so it should be there. I think it should be in preferences of ads. There would be a button, there would be a tab, because I remember hitting that one. I think, the ultimate fact is if I'm buying something, if I'm hunting for something, I would simply Google it. The fact is that I wouldn't go and switch to Facebook specifically and then, hunt for that specific ad. Google works best for, I think, 90% of people who are online users. And these ads are basically your interest-based ads, so you can't really help them out, much. If there's an ad that displays your interest, you might just hit the miss call button. Otherwise, there's no miss call button. And over 90% of people who are on Facebook, they have no idea how to actually operate Facebook beyond their timelines or messages, or hit the poke button. To be honest, I have no idea why has Facebook kept the poke button still alive, because in over, I think, my 5-6 years of experience, I've never used that button.
Yeah, wait and see, I guess, and see if people spot it and it becomes fashionable to do.
Yeah, business are gonna lose leads in that case.
Okay, so will we call it a day for another week?
Right.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
Okay, so look, we still have a viewer watching us. So I'd like to thank you very, very much, most sincerely, for the interest that you show in what we do. Now, I've put a link to this Hangout in the Social Media Fridays community. You'll see it there at the top of the community. And you can join us, and we'll be off the air, but we'd love to chat with you. You don't need a camera, a microphone, or you can just come along and just chat via the Hangout chat window. Anyway, look, we'll be back same time next week for Social Media Fridays, and thank you for watching this.